What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Dolphins Daily, your daily dose of Dolphins content with your boy, Chris Kane. Let's talk about the Dolphins. So we're almost at draft time. We all know the vibes. And I was going back through some of our recent drafts and I came to this question. Should the Dolphins regret drafting Jaylen Waddle in 2021? Now I know some of y'all immediately like, what do you mean? We love Waddle. Me too. Waddle's my favorite Alabama receiver since Julio. And there's been like 9 pro receivers since then. Just from Calvin Ridley to Amari Cooper, like Riggs and Ruggs, sorry, Devontae, plenty of great receivers, right? Jerry Judy, no shade there. But Waddle's my favorite. I just love the way Waddle played in college. Big fan. I was happy we drafted him at the time. Jamar Chase went right before him, so we knew it was going to be him and Chase probably 1-2. I asked the question because I forgot how the rest of that like next 7 picks went. So the pick right after Jaylen Waddle was Penei Sewell, who, as you know, is the all-world offensive lineman for Detroit. We get that. Then you had J.C. Horn, who I am very much on the record as not being a big fan of, but just got one of the 2 biggest contracts ever at cornerback. Then you had Patrick Surtain II, PS2, who just won Defensive Player of the Year. Then you had Justin Fields. Okay, whatever. Then the very next pick was Micah Parsons. That's a lot. So you go from Penei Sewell, who's all-pro first team repeatedly, Micah Parsons, who we know what Micah Parsons is, PS2 Defensive Player of the Year, J.C. Horn, Pro Bowler, all-pro cornerback. And then we have Jaylen Waddle, who is probably in argument for 2-3 for second best receivers, like wide receiver 2. I think most people have T. Higgins as number 1. But Devontae Smith, who's also in the same draft as Jaylen Waddle, they're all kind of the same tier. I think if you had to compare the two, people might lean Devontae, even though Jaylen Waddle's peak is higher. Like Jaylen Waddle 2022 individually as one season is better than Devontae's any one season. But Devontae's been more consistent. So it's kind of apples and oranges. But the idea of we took the flashy, like, speedster receiver, who I'm a fan of, he's had some injury concerns, but he hasn't missed like a ton of games. Like his worst season is 13 games played. So 3 or 4 games. Now, he's left a lot of games early. I know this because he's been on my fantasy team the last 2 years. Let me tell you, it gets frustrating when you put him in a lineup and in the first quarter it says questionable to return because you know almost certainly not coming back. And you're like, I could have played so-and-so, I could have played so-and-so. You get the one grab for 11 yards. It is an absolute devastating hit to your fantasy lineup. This has been a real thing. I literally lost my championship game this year because I put him in a receiver. And I like Waddle. And he doesn't catch touchdowns anymore. I don't know what's going on. He's had 6 in the last 2 years. I don't know what that is. He won't catch touchdowns. But, again, I drafted him, so I'm obviously a fan. But give me some touchdowns. But the question is, had Miami gone in a different direction, like, would that be a better situation now? I don't think Micah Parsons, as great as he is, I don't see him fitting in our scheme as well as he does with Dallas. So Micah's obviously a better player than Jaylen Waddle is, 1 for 1. We got that. But I don't know if he would be a better player with Miami. Devontae Smith, to me, is very similar to Waddle. I think Waddle gives you more like jet options and that kind of stuff. So that's kind of a wash. Having a PS2, who I think is the best corner in the league, that's a conversation, right? Like, if you had the best corner in the league and then we end up getting Jalen Ramsey, different conversation. Penei Sewell, I think most people would take one of the best old linemen in the league, who's actually been remarkably healthy, and he's super versatile in the run game and the pass blocking game. Regret is probably a tough word, but I do think let's do it this way. If there was a redraft, I believe Penei Sewell will go before Jaylen Waddle. That's what I'm saying. Now, with all that being said, could have been worse. Atlanta picked Kyle Pitts at 4. Woof. Eesh. Also, Zach Wilson in that draft, number 2. Woof. So you can say whatever you want about, oh yeah, Jaylen Waddle's really good, but he could be better, yada, yada, yada. It could have been Zach Wilson and or Kyle Pitts. Just saying. We made out pretty well, I think. That's hate. Getting back to the draft, let's talk about day 2, possibly day 3 options for cornerback. So Florida State had a cornerback, Azareye'h, who there's a lot to like and there's a lot not to like. It depends on your cup of tea. But he currently is the seventh rated cornerback. We talked about the top three already. We'll get into 4, 5, and 6 in the coming weeks. I gotta milk this out for y'all. But the reason I brought him up now instead of going with the people above him is because he went to Florida State, as did Jalen Ramsey. And I very much believe in this league now. There's something about like symmetry and alma maters and that kind of stuff. You've seen this with the Knicks in basketball where they just got all the Villanova guys and throw them on the same team. It's like, hey, you want a Villanova? Come play for the Knicks. I think sometimes when organizations have attachments to certain colleges, they do like to draft from the same school. Philadelphia, using the Georgia pipeline, is easily the best example. They just won't not draft Georgia players. And it keeps working out. Every time I draft a Georgia player, it works. It's a thing. There are a lot of Alabama guys, they end up going to New England. It's a thing. Belichick and Nick Saban, long-term friends, coached together at one point. Hey, I trust you. Go to this school, right? I think Azareye'h Thomas at his apex would be like a little bit lesser version of what Jalen Ramsey is. He's not the savant on defense that Jalen is, because Jalen literally is everything. He's big, he's physical, he's fast, he's a good tackler, he's instinctive, he's a ball hawk. Jalen's one of the best cornerback prospects in my lifetime. Azareye'h is physically really gifted, 6'2", almost 200 pounds, and likes to play physical, right? That's his main thing. Want to be up on you, bump and run, jab you at the line. That's his bag. He wants to fight you, like be really up on you, grab you at the route. That's like the best part of him. Really big, really physical, here for the smoke. Here's what's not good. He ran a 4.58 at the combine. Woof. Almost a 4.6 is crazy at cornerback. Is one of the I'd never even seen something like that like in recent memory. That seems incomprehensible given how fast receivers are for you to run almost a 4.6 at the combine. Now he might do a pro day and run a better time. I'm guessing he can probably get it to the low 4.5s, but that still tells me not super fast, and the tape also reveals not super fast. Like if he can't get his hands on you and disrupt you and he gets past you, hey, it could be a house call, which is why on tape he does a lot of grabbing when people get past him. So it's more about not having really short technique, and his idea, which I respect. I'm not the fastest guy in the world, so I gotta really knock you off your spot on the line. I gotta really get physical with you up front, because if you get past me, it might be 6. it might be a house call. I'll take a 15-yard penalty, but what you're not gonna do is embarrass me in front of my kids. Like that's what it feels like, and because he already has the size, you can't teach size. You can teach technique. If he's on a team with a guy like Jalen Ramsey, you can learn technique. I don't think he'll ever be as fluid in the hips or as, elite as some of the top end corners will be. But bigger corners now, because receivers are 6'5", 6'6", these guys are getting unreasonably big. That days of the 5'8", 5'9" corner, it's kind of getting played out. Like, you look at all the top corners, they're 6 feet to 6'2", and they are run stoppers, and they just have a better physical frame. Azareye'h, not a good run guy. Not a good run guy. He's an arm tackle. Even though he has all the size, he's like, I want to run up to you and like arm tackle you. I don't get it. I don't know if it's just a technique thing. I don't know if it's a want to situation. It's more of the thing where if you can harness it, then you think it can be really great. It's like the Jalen Milroe effect, right? Everyone can see at his apex, he's like a lesser version of like Lamar. But at his worst, he's like Malik Willis was for Tennessee, where we see the talent, but you just haven't did this. And now, luckily for Malik, he went to Green Bay and got rehabilitated in Green Bay, learned how to play quarterback all of a sudden. But had he not gone to Green Bay, you could be out of the league. Like, it can happen like that, where it's, athletic, and it just doesn't work out. So Azareye'h will almost certainly be there for us in the second round because, again, he's like cornerback 7 right now. And given how many offensive linemen, receivers, tight ends that will be drafted before him, he'll probably be there. We may be lucky enough to have one of the top 6 guys also on the board at the time, but if he's there, could be an option. Finally, I've been in my mentions and chats. People have been going at me about talking about the Dolphins drafting anyone in the first round that isn't an offensive tackle, right? It's been a big deal. People are like, just get on line, man. Fix the line. I understand. That's every Dolphins fan idea. We want to fix the line. Of course we do. I saw an article today that was interesting, though. It said making a case for not drafting a tackle. And I was like, that's interesting. And the whole idea of it was we drafted Patrick Paul last year in the second round to be our tackle in waiting. That was the idea. We knew Teron Armstead was getting older. We knew he was injury prone. We drafted this guy in the second round to take the job. We played him a little bit last year at right tackle because Austin Jackson got hurt and he didn't play super well. So I think people, maybe in the organization, maybe some fans were like, oh, he might not be the guy. But if you play left tackle your whole life and we say go to right tackle, that's not the same position. Yes, it's both tackle, but how you play the position is very different. How you open up, how you engage. Like even the pass rushers, most of the best pass rushers come from the right side, not the left side, because left tackles typically are more valuable. It's the whole thing. Like there's a reason why you mostly see the best tackles on this side of the line, not that side of the line, right? So he wasn't great at right tackle, but that also isn't his position. So the idea of we drafted this guy in the second round, we threw him in the wrong position, he didn't impress us, so now let's just draft another guy in the first round to take the job. And then the guy that we drafted to do that job is just now what, displaced? Because we assume Austin Jackson's coming back to right tackle next year. So if Teron Armstead doesn't come back, and all indications at this point is that he's not coming back, the idea would be, all right, Patrick, this is your job. We drafted you in the second round, go do it. If we draft the tackle in the first round now, we're saying, hey, we drafted you in the second round a year ago, you're a rotational tackle now, after never really giving you a chance to play the position. So the idea of, no, don't draft the tackle is not what I'm saying. It's you drafted a tackle last year to be your tackle in waiting, and he hasn't even done the job yet. We've never seen him at left tackle. So we don't know if he's a good left tackle because we literally don't know. So for you to go out and draft a brand new left tackle who's like 2 years younger than him, it's like it almost feels like, are you just resetting that position already? So the idea of the article is basically, let's give Patrick a chance to play the position, and if he's bad next year, then draft the tackle at the end of next year. But drafting one now doesn't make sense. If you draft an offensive guard, fantastic. We know we need guards. If Booker's on the board at 13, go get him. We all get that. But the draft, like Kelvin Banks or like that doesn't make sense given what the draft strategy was. Because last year we drafted a tackle and people say, why would you do that? And say, oh, because Teron's not going to be here for long. We want to have a guy ready. And we said, oh, you're planning for the future. And now drafting a new tackle is like, we're resetting the future. What did we do last year? So that's the idea behind it. That actually makes a lot of sense to me. I think, like everyone, we should fortify the line. I think if we're not going guard or elite defender at that position, meaning someone who was supposed to be in the top 10, false was at 13. If we're not going elite defender or guard, I don't really understand going tackle, given that we drafted a tackle last year. But we'll see what we do. And as always, guys, thank you for tuning in to Dolphins Daily. We appreciate all the love and support. You guys, of course, kill it with the subscribes, likes, and all that good stuff. We appreciate it. We'll see you next time on Dolphins Daily. Peace.